Well, hello class. Welcome back. It's been a little while since we've done a flip video. So today we're going to be talking about lesson 2.1, and in lesson 2.1 we're going to be talking about describing a pattern. So let's take a look at what we're talking about. Suppose I give you a pattern like 1, 4, 7, 10, and then dot, dot, dot. Okay. What we want to do on a pattern like this is we want to look at it and we want to identify what's going on. Now sometimes it's pretty easy, sometimes it's a little harder. We can show work by looking at how we get from one term to the next, and I think if you look at this one closely, you'll notice that in each of these we're going to keep adding 3. Now when we have patterns, there's a lot of different things that we're going to do with them. For instance, one thing that they may ask you to do is just to find the pattern, just identify what's going on here. So we've already done that for this one, where each term is 3 bigger than the one before it. They might ask us to find the next term or the next several terms. So again, referring back to the one that we just had, if we were to continue filling in the terms above, we would get 13 next, and then 16, and then 19, and we could keep going. Okay. Another thing that they could ask us to do is to actually write a rule. Now, a rule is a little different than finding the pattern. You still have to figure out what's going on, like you did in finding the pattern. But a rule is very specific. You're going to literally write out not only what the pattern starts with. So you're going to, essentially for this first one, you'd say starts with the number 1. But then you're going to then describe what happens. Then you're going to add 3 repeatedly. And that essentially is telling us 2 parts. It's telling us where we start and what we're doing. Okay, so really when we find the pattern, a lot of times what we're going to do is write a rule for it. In other questions, they may give us a rule, or they may give us a pattern that's already been started, and we're going to ask to be find. They're going to ask us to find the next several terms. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what patterns are all about. Okay, now there's a word in your text that you do need to be familiar with, and it's called a conjecture. And what a conjecture is basically your mathematical guess. Your book describes it as a prediction that you're going to make about how the pattern is going to continue. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll test the conjecture. Sometimes the conjecture might not actually work out if you get a little bit more evidence. Sometimes the conjecture will actually become the rule. Okay, so basically your conjecture is your prediction. Okay, so make sure you're familiar with that word. That'd be a good thing to show up in the daily quiz. A conjecture is a prediction. Okay. All right. In addition, patterns don't have to just be numbers. Okay, so we saw a pattern just a second ago that was just a bunch of numbers. You had to figure out what the next numbers are. But this is an example of another pattern, okay, where it's a geometric pattern. So we see first we have a circle, then we have a pile of 3 circles, and then a pile of 6 circles. And I think you can probably see that the next figure in this pattern is going to be the pattern that we have now with an additional row added at the bottom of 4 more circles, so a total of 10 circles. And then the next one, we would add a row of 5 circles at the bottom for a total of 15 circles, and so on. So patterns can be shapes, they can be numbers, they can be lots of things. And it's the same skill whether we're looking at a geometric pattern or we're looking at a number pattern. So let's go ahead and let's take a quick break, and let's go ahead and see if we can find the next terms for a couple patterns. And this will really test if you're reasoning correctly. So what I'd like you to do at this point is to pause the video for a moment and go ahead, and you don't have to write all these problems down, but it would be a great thing to do if you have your notebook out and you're taking notes for this video, to go ahead and just jot down over in the margin that there are 4 questions that I asked you to pause and solve on your own, and go ahead and fill in the answers. And as soon as you're done filling all 4 in or writing down the 4 answers, go ahead and press play again, and we'll do these together and make sure you've got the right answers. Okay? All right, go ahead and pause me now. Okay, well then you should have gone through these, and I think in the first one, the first pattern, you notice that each time it looks like we're subtracting 3. So the next term would be 6, and then 3, and then 0, and so on. Number 2 is a little trickier. It may look like what we're doing is we're moving the decimal 1 place to the right each time, and that is essentially what we're doing. What we're really doing on this one is we're multiplying by 10, which has the effect of moving the decimal 1 place to the right. So we have 0.12, 1.2, 12, 120. The next number would actually be 1,200, followed by 12,000, and so on. Number 3, look closely at it. You might think we're adding 3, but that doesn't work here. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out something that works for both of those. So if instead of adding 3, if you think of doubling, that does work each time we're doubling. So the next number would be 48. And finally, the last one, let's see. Seems like we have common differences. Each time it looks like we're going down by 3. So the next number, if we already start at -1 in the whole and we go down 3 more, we're actually going to go all the way down to -4. Okay? So if you got 6, 1,248, and -4, you are already well on your way to recognizing and identifying patterns and then using them to find the next terms. Okay, well that's really all I'm going to do tonight. We're going to keep this video nice and short. So thanks for tuning back in, and I'm excited to get started on another chapter. So without further ado, like I said on the first slide, it's good to be back. So welcome back everybody, and we'll have our next video up for tomorrow night. I'll see you all in class. Goodbye.